Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our first monthly webinar of 2018. Thank you all for joining us. We're really looking forward to some important insights today in promoting persistence and transfer in Texas community colleges with Catch the Next scholar mentor Anupma Singh. And without further ado, it is my great pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Anupma Singh. Anupma Singh received her PhD in American Literature from University of Allahabad, where she was also a lecturer before coming to the United States to teach at the University of Minnesota. Dr. Singh is currently pursuing a second doctorate in the School of Education at Iowa State University. Her current research focuses on international students, internationalization of higher education, and diversity and equity in higher education. For Dr. Singh, the journey of life from being born in India to coming to the brave new world of the United States of America has been insightful and exploratory. In dealing with the acclimatization, coping with the assimilation process, reestablishing a cultural and social identity as an immigrant, and understanding the complexities of living in a global environment, she has traveled a long way. This transformation and her experiences of two diverse environments have paved the way for her current endeavor of pursuing research in the field of higher education. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Anupma Singh.
So thank you everybody for joining me today, and thank you Lydia for facilitating this webinar. So the title of my presentation is a Role of Supplemental Community College Program, which is Catch the Next program in promoting persistence and transfer in Texas community colleges. Before starting my presentation, I would like to provide some background as how I got connected with Catch the Next. My PhD advisor, Dr. Linda Sarah Hagedorn, is associated with Catch the Next, and when I was looking for a client to work for my capstone project, Dr. Hagedorn introduced me with the Catch the Next and asked me if I would be interested in assessing the survey data from one of the participant community colleges from Texas. I really liked the idea as this project was translational in nature and has direct effect on the success of students. So that really got me interested in this project. And then I did the analysis, and now the manuscript is under review. So now I'll begin the presentation. So before saying anything, it's important to stress or emphasize on the problem. So the literature is full of documents to emphasize that by 2060, Latinx population would be 31% of the total US population. That said, this is going to continue to have an impact on American life, the schools, the economy, the culture, the politics, and higher education as well. In Texas only, Latinx students are by far the single largest ethnic group. More than 50% of these students who enroll in post-secondary institutions are Latinx students. But there is a large gap existing between the students who pursue a post-secondary education without college-ready skills in reading, writing, mathematics, and those students who come with those prerequisite college-ready skills. So to combat this grim situation, the success of Latinx students, various college readiness and college completion programs have been initiated nationwide and particularly in Texas. And Catch the Next is one of those programs. And there is huge body of literature that talks about the challenges of Latinx students and their overrepresentation in developmental education, but there is scant dearth of research on the programs and classroom experiences that promote the success of Latinx students who are enrolled in developmental education. So therefore, the purpose of my study is first to describe the characteristics of the participants, those who were enrolled in one of the Texas Community College in the Catch the Next program, and to evaluate the impact of the program by looking at the differences between the pre and post survey results. And finally, to provide some suggestions to the administrator and policymakers. So To come to the methodology, before that, I would like to emphasize on the theoretical framework that I use in this study. The validation theory of Dr. Rendon I used in this study. Validation study focuses on the experiences of non-traditional students who, as Dr. Rendon would say, as students from diverse racial ethnic backgrounds, including Latinx students. And the way in which campus agents such as faculty, staff create the experiences that promote students' cultural heritage supports their success. Validation theory also suggests that understanding, accepting, and validating the student's background is critical to the student's personal and academic development. And through this arrow in this figure, I wanted to emphasize that if from the beginning and at various stages of the students, if they get the academic validation and cultural validation, social validation through mentoring, counseling, as Catch the Next program does, the students would definitely will acquire the heights of either completion of the degree or being transferring to the four-year institution, and they're also persisting and finally achieving the goals in their life. So little bit about the methodology. What methodology did I use? So for the data, I only got one data from one participant community college from southern part of the Texas, and the survey data that I used in my study is from fall 2012 to fall 2015, and post survey data from spring 2013 to spring 2016. The number of the participants in the pre-survey were 249, and in the post-survey there were 381 students. And the survey that I used had, the pre-survey has 12 questions in it, and the post had 10 questions. But I only used those survey items which were present in both pre and post tests. So as I mentioned in the methodology that I used quantitative data analysis, I used SPSS version 24 for this study. So first I did descriptive statistics to describe the demographics about the participants. And then I conducted man-Whitney test and independent t-test just to get the aggregated differences in the pre and post survey results. Here is a brief overview of what the survey items were, and just to mention few, that there are few dichotomous variable items in the survey where there is direct question. Do you plan to transfer to four-year institution? Have you visited the four-year institution? And there are few which are as a Likert scale form of questions, like how much information do you have regarding transfer? So it starts from I have all the information to I have not have anything, like I have no information about it. And then strongly agree to strongly disagree, kind of Likert scale questions. So it's a brief overview of the survey items that were there in the analysis. Now the most interesting part is the result. So just to show the demographics of the participants in the program. So approximately 60% student participants were female, and whereas 40% of the participants were male students. And it was kind of very homogeneous both in pre and post test, which is also good sign. And similarly, about race and ethnicity, more than 80% of the students were belonging to Mexican, Hispanic, or Latino race or ethnicity. So that's also like the demographics is not very much variant in pre or post tests. So here are the results. As I said that I did three kind of analysis. First, I talked about descriptive. Here is the Matt-Whitney test. What Matt-Whitney test is done on the dichotomous variable. Dichotomous variable means where the answers were either yes or no, as I mentioned in the survey when I was discussing about the survey items. So on the two items, whether or not you visited four-year institution, the students were to answer either yes or no. And in this figure 2, we can clearly see in the percentage also the post results increased in percentage also. And Matt Whitney test gives us a strong backing that it is statistically significant. So it's not just an increase, but it is a statistically significant increase. But unfortunately, in the first figure, transfer to four-year institution, although the percentage increased in post-test results, but it didn't come significant. So, and now, as I mentioned that I did descriptive, then I did Matt-Whitney test, and then the independent sample t-test. Independent sample t-test also done on the scores of the pre and the post. And there was and we looked for the difference in the mean score of pre and post. So there were many questions asked. The first bar is about my college. The students were asked whether they feel that that particular college feel like their college. So, and before that, I would also like to mention that in this figure, I try to normalize the pre-data so that we can see the difference, which particular item worked really well in comparison to others. At the same time, the mean difference also, the statistically significant mean difference, like in the post test, it really increased significantly. So yeah, to again, so my college, uh, it also increased and the data the results were statistically significant. The students were asked whether or not they are proud of their identity, their Latino Latinx identity, and that also came significant in t-test. Whether on the students were asked whether or not they have clear plan for reaching academic goals. So again, if I tie back it to the literature that says that there is a gap between the students who like to transfer to four-year institution, but why they are not transferring and why they are not attaining. So, and if these catch the next is helping them have that clear plan of transferring, I think it's a very important thing to mention here, that that also came significant. And the question regarding the knowledge and information regarding the transfer also came significant. So as I mentioned in the survey items, they were asked whether they have any information to they have all the information. So the increase in the score in post test also suggests that participating in Catch the Next is helping student have all the necessary information regarding the transfer. So that way also it is helping students. So there are some promising results about from this study, but I would also like to mention some limitations of this study. So the first is that the data is uh, limited to participants from one community college, so it's making it little difficult to generalize it to participants to all other locations. And this study also relies on self-reported information in the survey, and the data of pre and post survey could not be matched. Additionally, qualitative research should also be supplemented with the quantitative to make it a more uh, broader impact on the audience. And so the purpose of this study in the beginning, as I mentioned, was to explore the impact of the program on the participant students by comparing various dimensions of pre and post survey results. And the results of this study suggest following important conclusion. The first, that the Catch the Next is helping students to develop their ethnic identity, self-efficacy, and sense of belonging. As I mentioned many times in this presentation, that research confirms that Latinx students express that having a strong ethnic identity helps them build self-confidence as well as increased political awareness, involvement, capacity to enter leadership and professional positions, and it also helps them in social and other dynamics. Such experiences are predictive of stronger engagement in college, and which is directly linked with positive outcomes like persistence. So now tying back to the conclusion and what the research says. The second conclusion that we can uh, div, infer from this study that the program is helping and preparing students to become transfer ready. As I mentioned in the first few slides, that Latinx students intend to transfer, but lack of knowledge, resources, and other preparedness lead to low transfer rates. And if Catch the Next is preparing students to have all those information and making them transfer ready, it's really helping them in the real sense. Latinx students are also more likely to be first generation. They are full-time students. They are facing a lot of financial problems. Literature is full of these documents. So if any program which is helping students to have, besides these barriers, besides these hindrances, if through mentoring, counseling, and other validations, if the program is helping students to achieve their clear academic plan, I think it's very significant and important. Besides some major conclusions, I would also like to suggest few recommendations, and they are like these. I would read the slide in this one. That for sure, Catch the Next is helping Latinx students succeed. Based on my finding, it will be warranted for foundation and other philanthropic organizations to consider supporting the program. Although it is just a preliminary evidence, but it is going into a positive direction, and is strongly going into a positive direction. It is suggested that the community colleges collect additional data so that a study can be conducted in a longitudinal manner. And it can also in order to provide broader findings and a wider scope, a multi-institutional study should be also conducted. And the finding of this research suggests that students' attitude, intention, and knowledge of transfer to four-year institution may be enhanced after participating in the Catch the Next program. It is suggested that a follow-up study, including the participants, can be conducted, and to follow them back after they graduate, either from the community college, or if they transfer, what's their life is after transferring to the four-year institution. So this study also has some implications for research, that future qualitative research can be done on this along with the quantitative, that should include students' experiences while in the Catch the Next program. Quantitative research, as I mentioned in my last slide, with multi-institutional data and in a longitudinal manner, including the GPA or something which can directly tell about the academic achievement, would definitely help. And policymakers should consider expanding the program at state level. Right now, I think it's in 13 community colleges. I can be wrong, but it should be promoted and should be expanded, and should be provided sufficient funding so that it can run successfully. And the first major practical contribution of the present research is that it provides much needed empirical evidences on effectiveness of the program, and it also provides suggestion to revise the survey instrument and enhancement of the data collection processes. So now I would like to have questions, and also would like to say that I would wish to work with Catch the Next in coming future too, with a multi-institutional and more robust data, so that I can make broader and stronger claims about the effectiveness of the Catch the Next program. Now I will wait for the questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anupma. Gosh, what wonderful, what wonderful data, and what wonderful analysis. Let's see. I have a number of questions, but we also have one from Danielle Rodriguez, who comes to us from Palo Alto College in San Antonio. Danielle, Okay, go ahead,
Yes.
Dan. You're unmuted.
Okay, Dr. Singh, thank you for that. Was really some good information. So it's good to know that what we're doing here at the colleges, does make a difference. I was going to ask related to, were there any plans? You said that you did not collect any qualitative data on these students. Any plans to do that, in this study in the future related to any kind of qualitative, qualitative information related to this?
Oh yeah, that's a very good question. Actually, one of my collaborator and my mentor, Dr. Erin Doran, she is also from Iowa State, and she has collected qualitative data on Catch the Next program. And we also presented in one of the conferences where she was presenting her qualitative data and I was presenting my quantitative, and it was kind of a complementary to each other. Unfortunately, I do not have it right now. But yeah, there is some studies going on regarding to that, and I probably would forward you the paper that she published out of that and more information about it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Great.
And
If we can get that, I'm sorry, we can share with everyone.
And Erin is actually on the call. I can unmute her. Oh, it looks like she's muted on her end, so we can wait and see if she wants to jump in. Erin, if you do, feel free to type a question or use the hand raise feature. Let's see. I had one question about one of your suggestions, Anupma, on the last slide was about revising the survey, which is something that folks at the colleges have been talking about too. What are you thinking in terms of revisions to the surveys, and how might that impact your research since it uses survey data?
Yeah, that's again a very good question, and that will definitely enhance the quality of the research. So first, like the data I analyzed has one set has only 12 questions, another set has 10 questions. So it was really hard to make a comparison between pre and post survey. So first we have to come, like CASNX has to come up with a survey which is consistent pre and post, first thing. And then second, to add on things which has like suppose you are asking about I feel proud about my college, then there must be some supplemental questions regarding that particular thing, like proud means what else could be added to supplement proud, and then it should be clubbed together with proud. And then similarly for sense of belonging, like there are few questions that can be asked to have a like a holistic or comprehensive picture whether the student is answering, so that there can be more robust quantitative studies can be done. And then I would also like to add questions on particularly like mentoring, like how their mentoring experience was, and then to add like nitty and gritty onto that, like which part of the mentoring at what stage, those kind of questions. And then similarly on their right and especially the GPA, like the academic, if there is any way we can trace the academic result like GPA or the progress report of the students being in the program, that would definitely would say much just than like it's helping them succeed. Then we can show the evidence that yes, it is really helping them succeed.
Awesome.
Yeah, Lydia, I wanted to say definitely thank you to Dr. Singh for her interest in our organization and for taking the time to do this research on one of our colleges. We obviously are grateful to Dr. Haggerden, one of our scholar mentors, for making the referral. And we're definitely interested in having her and Erin and anyone else do additional research on the program. I was wondering about the post test. I know that we have a post test in December and we have a post test in May. Which one did you look at, or did you look at both? Is my first question. And also, what cohort, what year did you target in your work?
So as I mentioned that it was from fall 2012. The pre-test was fall 2012 to uh, uh, I think fall 2015, and uh, the post test was from, and it's a like a multiple year of the data,
Oh, great.
because there were a lesser number of participants, so it was better for me to have a multiple year of the data, so that I have reasonable number of students to do research on. So, and the post was spring 2013 to spring 2016. And I
Excellent.
would also like, sorry, I would also like to mention that the data and that in the form I received has a lot of missing values, I would say. So if the documentation of the data is also very important for any robust quantitative research, so that also a point that I would like to make here.
Right. No, because we actually have different ways that the survey gets implemented at the institutions. Some institutions are actually still having their students fill out the survey, with pencil. You have
Hmm.
others that are using an electronic means like a survey monkey. We
Hmm.
also have some of the surveys being administered in the integrated reading and writing class. And in other campuses, they had preferred to use the Education 1300. And
Hmm.
obviously, you have different faculty and administrators doing the administration. So I think that there's certain issues in terms of how we tighten up the
Okay.
process
Hmm.
of administering these surveys
Sure.
is one key issue for us.
Hmm.
Um, and also, how do we ensure that students are present on the day that the survey would be given, how we can make more announcements in the classroom, preparing students, reminding them, don't miss this day. And
Hmm.
maybe if there is a way to even have the teachers look at the survey afterwards in case somebody forgot something,
Hmm.
um, for us to have them even the next day to answer the questions that they didn't address. Um, but any suggestions from anyone as to how we can tighten up that process, please begin to send those to Aaron and copy me and Lydia so that we can make sure that we don't have the same issues next year with the survey. Also, when the Knowledge Development Working Group meets, we can look at how we have a uniform survey going forward. Obviously, when you're looking at data from 2012 to 2015, we did have a change in the number of questions. And in fact, Dr. Haggerden asked us to add a couple of them. Um, but this may be a good time, as we look at the new 5 years ahead of us, we may want to take that into account.
Hmm.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Back to you, Lydia.
Great, thank you. We have a question from Austin Community College. And you are unmuted now. Go right ahead. Is this Dr. Armenta? Well, let's see. Dr. Armenta sent a question. I can go ahead and read it. He says, what was the N for the statistical analysis?
Yeah, so as I mentioned in my presentation, for the pre-test it was 249 students, and for the post-test it was 381 students. And I also expressed in my limitation section that the number were not matched, and there were not many statistical tool I could apply, and I mentioned it in my limitation. But the numbers were like 249 students and post 381 students.
Okay, thank you.
381 or 281?
381.
381? Oh, wow. Big discrepancy. Yes. Um, but it also kind of shows the level of engagement at the beginning versus when you're
Right.
doing a post. Usually you have a larger number at the beginning and a
Right.
smaller number at the end because of people withdrawing,
Mhm.
whereas we see, the increase. Excellent.
That's great. Dan Rodriguez, I saw a hand go up. Do you have a question? You're unmuted. Go
I,
right ahead.
I was just going to ask. I was kind of concerned. I was wondering why there were more post than pre. I kind of didn't understand why there were more post surveys done than pre surveys. I would have thought there would be significantly less at the post level.
They probably miss the taking the pre-survey, but we always provide two post surveys, the December and the April. So there's greater probability of taking a post survey, versus a pre-survey.
Mhm.
Um, that could be a reason. Um, but I think the key thing is to learn from what this is
Fine.
teaching us. Um, and I think the N number is actually a very positive number, um, for that particular institution that we're talking about. Um,
Right.
and I guess it's a great idea for us to begin to do that at the other institutions, particularly those like ACC that are younger. So we would have less years to look through. Whereas I think with STC going back to 2012, with a lot of turnover in staff, I think there have been, uh, some information loss here and there, as much as one tried to keep track of everything from day one. Yes. So, Anupma, you're going to be giving a presentation soon. You want to tell people about that?
Eh, at CSCC.
Yes, I think you and Aaron are giving a presentation.
So if Dr. Doran wants to say something about that.
Oh, her mic is not working. Her audio is not working.
Yeah.
All right, but we do have both of them making a presentation at the American Association of Community College on our data on both of their work, and the gathering is going to be in. I don't have the exact date, but it is in Dallas in March. So,
It's April 26th to 29th. Yeah.
what day, please?
26th to 29th April.
Okay, 26th and 29th of April. Excellent. So we'll just get some notices later on and remind everybody. So if you're going to be in Dallas, definitely stop by and check them out. That would be great.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Anupma. Again, I'm sure folks will have a lot of follow-up questions, and I'm hopeful that we can continue working with you as we, look at our surveys and work with the colleges to fine-tune the implementation of the surveys, as well as perhaps, revising the questions and things like that. But this has been so, so valuable. So thank you so much for joining us this monthly webinar.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to present my study through this format. And I really look forward to work on some more robust data to give you more findings. Okay.
Excellent. Well, thank you for
Thank
your
you.
commitment to our program. And we're very fortunate to have you in our little family. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.